Thank y'all for coming and being a part of these. I know sometimes during the lunch hour we get a packed house, which is great. A big thank you to Sierra Shuff from Shuff's Barbecue. She's listening right now. Give her a hand. That food is always great. Yes. You can always go get you another Lone River Ranch water as well. My name's Eric Rains. Honored to have y'all here at 95.9 Texas Country. This is our Texas Country Lounge. We do these hopefully once a month, and we're going to continue to do these next year. By show of hands, who's been to one of these before? Ah, great. Wow.
Return customers.
Return customers. Proud to have this guy up on stage. Please make welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Jon Wolfe.
How y'all doing? Well, thanks for having us. And Eric and I go way back, many years, and it really is. It's such a cool thing to have these kind of lifelong friendships in country music. So I got my guitar player, Mr. Mark Sauceda, out with us.
Give Mark a hand, by the way. Thank you, Mark. You see me up here, I'm waltzing the whole time. Big, little, big, little. New music, new album, new baby coming out. Of course, then there's I was talking to your wife earlier, and she's like, y'all are going to Nashville. You just shot a video for that at Riley's Tavern, and then you're about to, once you put out new music, then you got to start the ball game again. Are you ready to get this all started? Well,
it's interesting because the older I get, that's how I can start almost every sentence nowadays.
Same.
But, this is my 5th studio record, and I actually haven't put out a studio record in almost 4 years. Can you believe that?
I can't, because I remember the last one. I was on your bus at an award show, and you let us hear Tequila
Sundown, and all of those. And so, I think it's and I've chatting with a lot of the other artists I've known over the years, Randy Rogers and Fowler, and I mean it gets a little tougher as you kind of go down the road and to get up to say, okay, I'm going to get into promotion mode, So we're really excited about it, and I actually have spent the past couple of years working on our yard at home, so my wife is so ready for me to get out and do something.
I feel like every time I call you or there's something online, you're in the yard, shirtless, and you're mowing the lawn.
Well, it's kind of become a little pastime, I guess you could say, and it's sort of for those of you that work in the yard and work with your plants and flowers. It's sort of a fruitless effort, right? It's I told Amber, I said, this whole yard work thing, it's very unforgiving, and it's also not rewarding. So,
if you got a great yard, it is. You talked about friendships, and I've known this guy for a really, really long time. But I was talking to your wife, Amber, Amber's right there. Everybody say hi to Amber. Give her a hand. Love Amber. Last time that we were together, we were actually on a plane on the way to Cabo San Lucas to play Big Cabo Fest, which is going to be a big beach bash coming up. Which I heard it sold out. Congratulations, Dixon, on that. But we were talking earlier, and I think we've had this conversation. If you knew Jon before you knew Amber, you knew Jon that if he were up here in a button-down shirt, it would be unbuttoned down to here. And he used to walk into the radio station like that, and I'd be like, "That's me, man."
Well, you see all these young guys now. So I was a 2 to 3 button kind of guy, These young guys, they just don't wear shirts now. It's
not
completely,
at all.
I tried to at least kind of keep it kind of classy, I was lucky enough to be wearing 32, 36 extra slim fit Wranglers back in those days, but again, the older I get, the more
there it is again.
There it is again. I've kind of relaxed a little bit on that,
Part of the older you get, the relationships, this business that we're in, whether it be on the radio or anything in life, is about relationships. At least that's what I figured out the older I get. The relationships in the business is great, and I always call it it's a fraternity, it's a circle, it's a clique, but this Texas music scene that we're in, a lot of friends in it, and you have gotten together, and one of the songs in the new album you guys did. Talk about the relationship with Randy Rogers and recording with that guy and what that was like.
Yeah, so I've known Randy my entire career, and it's kind of interesting because, again, we all get into this thing, and it's like, it's really fast-paced. It moves, you blink of an eye and there goes 5 years or 10 years. And I would say, you know, if I have any regrets looking back on my career, there are some guys that have been really good about developing friendships, some of these artists, you know, and I've kind of been kind of bad about it. You know, I just haven't, you sort of get in the, you know, you have the blinders on and you move forward in your career. And I look back and I go, man, I probably could have hung out with these guys more. And so Randy and I really, after sort of being, you know, buddies, but not, you know, not to the point that the level that we are now at this point, kind of see each other. Hey man, how you doing? How you doing? And so moving to New Braunfels, I reached out to Randy and I said, hey man, you know, we're going to be writing some songs for this new record, and we'd love for you to come by and write a song with us. And so he said, yeah man, I'm going to do that. So it was really cool for us to have Randy Rogers pull up in my driveway and get out with his guitar, and I'm going, okay, this is happening. And so that's the song is called Tequila Cowboys, and it's a song. It's already out. It's one of the singles we put out pre-release to the record. And I say, you know, when you write songs, you should write about things that you know. And Randy and I know about drinking tequila, so that's what we ended up with.
Again, we're filming this for all the digital. You'll see this on our social media outlets. You'll hear it on the radio. They'll be making a podcast out of it. So you'll all have the job. Thank y'all for coming today. You mentioned tequila. We got to talk about the other hustle that you guys, you and your wife, you and everyone else have been a part of for the last 6 years. Juan Lobo Tequila. Now, I asked Jon Wolfe, by the way, Juan Lobo means what?
Jon Wolfe.
How about that? Wasn't that smart? Isn't that great? I asked him to bring some tequila, and then I went to our promotions department, and we went through legal, and I was like, hey, can we like pour tequila? And they're like, no.
Fair enough.
Do you get that a lot? You show up? No, actually, last time we were at Big Cabo, I think we went through 12 bottles of this on the stage, and I've never seen Roger Creager and Kevin Fowler and you and everybody else on stage. Talk about the business of, okay, I think I'm going to start doing tequila and how that starts and where you are right now. I know that's a long story.
Yeah, it is. I'll try to keep it short. But by the way, in the Austin area, you can get Juan Lobo tequila. We're heavily distributed here in Central Texas. So the Reyes Beverage Group, Capital Reyes Distribution, shout out to them. They're our distributors here in Austin area, for basically distributed from Waco down to San Antonio. You know, I think looking back, I started working on Juan Lobo tequila back in like 2016, 2017.
Why?
Well, I love tequila.
What is your why?
I love tequila, number one. You know, it's funny because the industry has kind of blown up, right? You see all of these people that have tequila brands. You got a lot of celebrities that have tequila brands. And a tequila brand doesn't show up overnight. So I was working on this really when at the beginning of this current sort of, you know, influx of brands. But I fell in love with good tequila. You know, I spent a lot of time in Mexico and wanted to learn about the process and wanted to meet people that are in the tequila industry. So I started taking trips down to Guadalajara, and there's a lot of country listeners down there and a lot of folks that are in the world of tequila that knew my music. And so I got a little, you know, help opening a door or two, and fell in love with the process, fell in love with the distillate, really. You know, I think a lot of what we've been used to over the years has been considered mixed dose tequila, or you just call it mixed dose, a lot of added sugars and those sorts of things. Really what we're drinking now is 100% blue agave tequila. And it's just, it's an industry that's built on the foundation of farmers and generations of farmers. And so I just fell in love with it, and, you know, kind of had some encouragement from my manager at the time and a few people that are in the industry said, hey man, you should launch your own brand. And that's been, you know, we've actually been in the market now for 5 or 6 years. It's really a difficult business to be in, but we're really proud of the brand, and we've actually been the presenting tequila for Rodeo Austin for the past 2 years. Yeah, so really, so check it out. Check out Juan Lobo Tequila.
3 different kinds, and it was funny because I was having this conversation with Bob on the air. If y'all are listening, y'all remember me saying, Bob was like, "Ooh, tequila." I'm like, no. Unless you've really had good tequila, you've just had tequila.
Right.
Some gut rot bar tequila, which some people are perfectly okay with. And then there's, that was so smooth I could have another glass.
Yeah, for sure.
Not shot, glass.
Absolutely. And I think that's been a big part of tequila brands has been around education. So, you can't make tequila in your bathtub in Austin, by the way.
Good point.
Yeah. So you have to make it.
The older I get.
Yeah, there you go. So you have to make tequila. Legally, tequila can only come from the state of Jalisco in Mexico. Okay?
I did not know that. Did y'all know that? Did anyone here know that? All right. So we're learning stuff today.
So our distillery is in the highlands of Jalisco in Arandas, Mexico. And I'm there every time we're in production. I work very closely with the master distiller, our distiller family, producer family. It's really, been a fun venture, and we're just getting started.
Do y'all just sit around and drink tequila all the time?
I used to, yes.
Really?
My wife told me to put the brakes on it a little bit, so.
She's shaking her head, yes.
But yeah, we're big tequila fans in our household, and we still drink our brand, just like we're still very passionate about it. Our distillery is really considered a top 10 distillery in the world of tequila now. They've really grown a lot, and so we have really big plans for Juan Lobo.
Other than Juan Lobo, what is the best tequila?
Well, I'm a big fan of G4. Has anybody heard of G4 tequila? G4 generation, 4 generations. Felipe Camarena is sort of he's the master distiller. He's become kind of a celebrity in the world of tequila, and I actually got to drink tequila with Felipe Camarena back in December. I was really excited about it. But check out some G4. It's great stuff.
After you check out
check out Juan Lobo tequila.
The 3 different kinds over here.
Yeah, we've got Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. Our Reposado means rested, so it has to be rested in a barrel for a certain period of months. So our Reposado is rested 7 months in a single-use Jack barrels, and then our Añejo means aged. So
I'm learning words today too.
Our Añejo is 22 months aged in single-use Jack barrels. Our Blanco is not aged.
This is Blanco. Blanco means what?
Well,
right. I was checking on y'all. I knew that.
So, but they're all three great, and it really has been, like I said, a really great venture. Something that we're passionate about. It's not you do see where these brands can sell for a lot of money. That's in the back of your head, of course.
Casamigos.
That'd be nice to have that happen, but you have to be. It's like with country music. I mean, you have to fall in love with it. You've got to fall in love with the craft. You've got to work on your songs, your vocals. I've been doing this for 20 years, on the road for 15 years since my debut record. It all happened in a honky tonk, and like Fowler tells me, he goes, John, you can. I got a lot of, I guess, what would you call it? Fatherly advice from Kevin Fowler over the years.
He's good like that.
One of the things he told me is never buy a tour bus, and I didn't listen to him, and everything he said is right, But Fowler always says, John, you can get rich being a country singer, but you can't get wealthy. That's a Fowlerism right there.
It is a Fowlerism.
So you can't do it for the money. You've got to do it because you love songs and you love performing, and really the same thing in tequila nowadays. You got make a great product, be passionate about it. I built the brand from scratch, and so I'm there every time we're in production. Everything. I'm not one of these guys that. To a fault, I probably should hire more people to help me, but I'm in the middle of everything that we do. I'm very, very passionate about creating products, and songs and things of that nature.
Best part about Jon Wolfe being at a festival or a concert or a big Cabo Fest is you get tequila every time. Yes. It's great.
Absolutely.
Or when I went to Red Raider Alley at Texas Tech for one of my son's parents' weekend, and John was playing, and he's like, "Hey, come on back to the bus." So I go back to the bus, and I'm hanging out as before he was going to play, and he tells me, "Hey, stick around because Ric Flair is going to be hanging out on the bus." I got to meet Ric Flair because of this guy.
I forgot about that.
Oh, it was a highlight. I didn't care about the game or hanging out with my son. Yeah. I got to meet one of my heroes.
The show. You weren't even at my show.
No,
man.
I was backstage with Ric Flair. I was side stage. Play us another song.
Well, so this is the title track of my new album coming out, and I actually got this title. I've had this title for quite a few years. When I come to Austin, of course, we lived in Austin for probably 13 years or something of that nature. We live down in New Braunfels now, so I can work on my yard. And
the older you get,
yeah. But so I would come to town and meet my buddy Pete for some what I used to call barstool therapy. Okay, and I'm old school in that way, which I'm not suggesting that drinking can solve any of your problems. It might even add to some of your problems. But I would always meet up at the Whip Inn for some barstool therapy. And I know the Whip Inn is still here. Does anybody go to the Whip Inn? Come on now. Okay, come on now. The Whip Inn is still here. It's hanging in there because they've got the 35 expansion, right? So it's kind of going to end up being right in their front door. But I would go to the Whip Inn for barstool therapy and, just talk about whatever's going on in my life and how hard the tequila business is and the music business. And so I had this title, and my co-writers, my producer, Dave Brainerd, he's fantastic. He's Grammy-nominated producer. And Tony Ramey, if anybody's ever heard of Tony Ramey. If you haven't heard of him, go look him up. But that's sort of my creative nucleus, I guess you could say.
We've talked about this on the phone. You kind of went back to roots on this album. It's definitely old school. Boots on the dance floor, Jon Wolfe, where you kind of got started.
Yeah. Well, I think I think I'm really kind of a traditional country junkie. Really, I go back to the early part of when I first started. I was lucky enough to kind of, pop into this scene. I did early shows with Merle Haggard and played a show with Ray Price in the very beginning of my career.
You played with George Strait?
Did a private party for George Strait.
Didn't you have to sing in front of George once?
I asked him to sing with me. I did more than sing. I've sang in front of George a handful of times. And
how did that go?
Well, I think it went terribly in my mind. So his nephew was my first manager, and so I sang at his nephew's wedding in Cabo, and I thought I had to sing like 4 songs, man. So I'm like singing in front of George the whole time.
There's a crowd like this. Where is George sitting right now?
Like right there, And,
I'm singing.
So I'm thinking I'm just crashing and burning the whole time, And Amber and I had just started dating, and she said, "You sound great." And I went over and
isn't that what the girlfriend or wife is supposed to say?
Yeah, okay. And George was like, "Man, you sound great, John." And I'm like, "Yeah, right, dude." So it's really been one of these things where I'm rooted in that traditional. When I explore country music, it's probably more exploring within the boundaries of country. I think some country artists, they sort of have these influences that roll them into, rap and R&B and rock and those sorts of things, and that's fine. But the boundary of my fence line usually goes to like Haggard and Strait and Waylon and those sorts of things. And I feel like that this new record does sort of dive a little further into traditional, the old school traditional country music for me. So we're having a lot of fun with it. And I didn't really do a waltz for like many years of my career. Now I have too many waltzes. So.
I'm still up here waltzing up here. Album is coming out when, if people want to find it and they can locate it, where is it, when and where?
Yeah, November 7th, Barstool Therapy Session 1.
Which means maybe Session 2?
There's going to be a Session 2 or you know what, I'm probably going to, there's going to be a deluxe edition coming.
Ooh, breaking news, everyone.
Yeah.
You got it here first.
Yeah, so we're really excited about it. So we're going to roll into the next year with more new music, and we'll announce this bigger album as well, and some other collaborations, including Lyle Lovett, that will be coming on this thing. This is going to be really great. We're excited about it.
The Jamie Johnson collaboration that you did early summer, that one was really good. Really loved that one. I think a lot of our listeners did as well.
Yeah.
Collabing with somebody, when you walk in, sometimes you know these people, sometimes it's surface knowledge of a friendship or whatever. I would think that Lyle Lovett would make terrified.
Lyle is like the coolest dude. He's been so cool to me, and we cut our vocal at Arlen Studios right here in the heart of Austin, which, I mean, I guess Arlen is considered probably maybe the most historic recording studio in Austin. And this is a Western swing song that I wrote, and we're not going to be able to play it, by the way. It takes like 10 guys to play it, but a Western swing song that I wrote really on my first record 15 years ago, and Lyle really liked it, and so we decided to go re-record it together. And he's just like, I mean, just like when you meet George, you're like, there he is, the legend, you know?
Yeah, I met George once, and I was like,
Yeah.
really appreciate what you've done for me.
Yeah.
Then I realized, that was stupid. Why did I say that?
Why did I say that? You know, and I think that, some of these, I sort of think about, George and Lyle as like, you hear about sometimes people are let down by their heroes and those sorts of things. And when you meet these guys, you're like, there he is, the legend. And looks just like the legend, and he acts just like the legend. And it's really amazing to have these guys at least have the opportunity to get to know them.
Absolutely. Before we move on, and he has a tequila conference that he has to get on about 1 o'clock. So I did want to I always open up the floor. I know everyone looked at their watches. Anyone have a question for Juan Lobo up here?
Fire away.
Fire away.
What you got? Yeah.
Have you ever regretted what you've done?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, people have asked me if I've ever thought about quitting, and I mean, honestly, I don't know that there's been a month or a year gone by in my career that I've been like, man, why the hell did I do this? So I mean, I think that has to come with if there's that sort of part of you that has that willingness to take the risk, you're going to have that. There's always going to be that. That's the thing that might even push you along, because if I don't have the guy in the back of my head going, dude, this is the dumbest thing you've ever done, and then the response is, yeah, but I'm going to keep going, So I think that really is, and what I think at times, like, maybe healthy thinking about that. So I hope that was an okay answer that I think about it quite often,
I would think for every great show, I'm sitting in front of George Strait playing, or an arena, or your opening act, or this is the one that when you play in front of, you think it's going to be the one and 10 people show up, and it happens to everybody, it would make you question or make you decide to get back on that bus and go for it again.
Yeah, I mean, it like I said, it's just really, I think it's got to come with it. I mean, there are certain guys that, I was just thinking about the years I went out and opened a lot of shows for Cody Johnson, and we're watching his new video, and man, I've seen, you think those guys have it all at the top. They do, but they also have all this stuff that comes with it. So there's always sort of a frustration, right? If you're working hard to get some music out, that maybe you don't have the finances to do it, or you're working hard to make something happen. It's a struggle, or it's really going well and you've got like 100 people to pay,
and you got to have another number one,
right? Yeah,
or another number one.
I think that comes along with it. I have a finance degree, and when I went to Colorado State. Had a lot of fun. I did show up to class. I'm a big outdoorsman. I love the outdoors. I love the mountains. I don't quite know how I graduated, but I did. And I got a job with British Petroleum straight out of school, working for U.S. Oil Americas in Chicago. And I was thrown right into this very competitive, very aggressive trading environment, which all the guys I'm working with are just really quick-minded, brilliant people. Very aggressive, is all about making big money for the oil company.
I was gonna say that pays pretty good too.
It did. I was on a good path, but I had these dreams, these thoughts and ideas about different things, and I've talked to my wife about this. I've sort of, I could have just been a fly fishing guide. I thought about it. I'm serious. I'm like, I'm going to stay here and fly fish.
I saw on Golden Pond, that looks like a great career if you could pull it off.
I could have been a fly fishing guide. I thought at one point in time I'm going to, move up to Montana and just be a ranch hand. Part of me wanted to be a country singer. Part of me wanted to be, an oil trader on Wall Street, and I was on my way to do that. And country singing kind of won over. Like it was sort of the thing that took my interest for the longest period of time, and maybe if I believe in reincarnation, I'll come back and do one of those other things.
Anyone else? One more question.
Yeah. Full beard, yeah. Well, I am gonna do. Yeah, I'm cleaning up a bit. My wife doesn't know this, but I'm gonna just roll on with no shave November, and I'll get that back. I do notice I'm a better country singer with a bigger beard. So thank you for that.
They were hip for a while, that's for sure. Saucy, thank you for coming up here today. Everybody give a hand, Jon Wolfe.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
I want to say thank you to Momo and to Casey and Brad running sound back and making it sound good and look good. Thank you all I love a good listening audience, because there's nothing better than a songwriter and a singer to come up and actually tell the stories, and he can in its silence. It's a beautiful thing for me to sit up here and ask the questions, but it's when you get to hear somebody actually explaining something. And not everybody's talking. It's a listening room is one of the most beautiful things and magical things, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
So thank you, guys. And when we do this, we're going to try to do one every single month. And we had a meeting yesterday. We're going to continue it next year as well. So we'll have more artists.
All right.
Yeah. When you see us talking about it, hit the website, sign up. For the folks that keeps coming back every time, thank you. I appreciate that. It is awesome. I love that you ask a question every time. Good. No, I think that's so cool. She asked the best questions, too, and she's here.
That was a good question.
I think it's cool that people love these and keep coming back, and we'll get them bigger and better. So thank you all again. My name is Eric Rains. Thanks for listening to 95.9 Texas Country, and thank you, Jon Wolfe.
Thank you. Hey, you guys make some noise for Eric Rains. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you, buddy.